Now, your final club of your career was Incheon United in South Korea. I won't ask you how that move come about because, as you said, your memory's pretty bad. But I will ask you, you spent your whole professional career in Australia. And obviously, like I don't need to say it, Australia and South Korea are very different countries, different climates. They speak a different language. So when you first got over there with the weather differences, with not many people speaking English or English well, did you find it hard to adjust? And was there any cultural shocks, aside from that you had?
Yeah, that was a very difficult experience in terms of like just little things. Like you can't even use Google Maps. Like I'd search for, I don't know, some kind of food shop on Google Maps, and it would take me somewhere. I'd drive there and be like, I don't know, music shop or something, and just be like, what is going on? Like there there's so many differences between Australia and Korea that it's pretty amazing, because I always explain it like this, that I think most countries around the world follow America, right? Like they watch American TV, listen to American music, all that kind of thing. So there's this sort of understanding between people when they go to other countries. It's like, oh, a lot of people speak English, a lot of people know the same famous people, and you sort of speak a little bit of the same language. But in Korea, they've got their own film, they've got their own music. Barely, out of my, this might be wrong, but from my experience, the least amount of English speakers that I've seen in a country. So it was really quite difficult. You go to try to do groceries somewhere, the people might actually, there's no English, or maybe they're just saying they don't speak English. I don't know, but they're not helping you, you know. So it's like the stuff outside of the field was quite difficult, but then it rolls into the field stuff, because there's all this stuff about, like, you can't, if the coach says something, you can't argue with it, you can't say your opinion. If the president is saying something, then that's how it is. Like there's a lot of that kind of thing, hierarchical stuff in their culture, that obviously flows into the football side of things as well. So yeah, it was an experience. It was an experience, and again, like it made me have to grow and adapt, um, and learn how to still be a player in an environment where, like, it was very different, right? Like, because in Argentina, it felt like, okay, you just learn the language, then you're sort of there. Like everyone's you sort of you understand each other. This was foreign. This was very foreign to me. So it was difficult in its own way.
Now, I've interviewed a couple of Aussies from different levels, but sometimes A-League, who's gone over to Asia, whether it's South Korea, Japan, even Malaysia. And one thing they all sort of have in common when they talk about Asia is they talk about the training and just how hard they go and just how intense the
Mm-hmm.
training is. So was that
Yeah,
your experience at all in South Korea? And was it as crazy as what people say training wise and strictness wise?
there's 2.5, 3 hour sessions, stuff like that. Some days you're in the club the whole day. Like you go in the morning, train in the morning, stay at the club all day. Whether you have lunch together, then you might have to just stay there, and who knows, do a gym session. Then you might train again on the field. Crazy. They've obviously got such a military influence in their training. Um, but yeah, it's a weird one. It's Asia is I guess lots of places, lots of different cultural places can affect people differently, but it seems like one where you can be a really good player and still go over there, and like they, for one reason or another, if you're not respectful, or if you're not on time, or if you're not willing to adapt the way you play, or train, you might not even be able to show that. I sort of said this in the post, that you might not even get the chance to show that you're a good player. Like
Mm.
they can, those places I've seen personally, like in front of me, I've seen them write a person off completely, not just like, oh, for today or for this week, but one incident, go, that's it. Like you're never playing here, or I'm never going to look at you with respect ever again. Like I've seen that happen. So you have to be really aware, self-aware, socially aware.
Now, the K League's not really one that's streamed too much in Australia, or it might be, I just don't know where to find it. So I don't think
Yeah,
I've really watched much of you play except for highlights and stuff when I was doing research for this video. So how do you think you
yeah,
actually played in South Korea? I know it must have been difficult, as you said, like a lot of people don't speak English well. I know there are foreigners who
yeah,
can speak English, but when you're a midfielder, especially, I think communication is very key. So if you're not able to
yeah, yeah.
communicate, it might affect your game. So how do you think overall you played when you were in South Korea?
Yeah, different challenges, right? Probably played my best football there, I think. I think the I guess the game suited me in some ways, like the style of play suited me in some ways. Um, and again, I think like you as a foreigner, you go into the okay, like my position in victory is kind of the tacit position, right? Is like, oh, it's a young player, doesn't really need to, he just needs to come in and do a job and doesn't need to really, be the best player on the ground or the biggest lead or anything like that. And then I get to Western Sydney, it's a bit like, oh, you're a bit older, probably should lead a little bit, have some experience, should be a bit more of a main player and should be starting each week. And then you go to Korea and Incheon, and it's like you're one of 3 or 4 foreigners, and you've got to be the ones that are essentially making the difference in the game. And I felt like that responsibility helped me do that. And I think that I probably played my best football there, yeah, in a weird way, because yeah, lots of different challenges for lots of different reasons, like we spoke about. But yeah,
Now, that was your final club in your professional career, and you did walk away from the game at such an early age. And I remember there was a big post about it, and a few people were shocked, but I'd imagine that would have been a pretty long decision for you to actually make. So, when was the time you knew that you were going to walk away from football? And have you had any like doubts or regrets ever since?
no, I can answer that pretty quickly. No doubts or regrets at all. Like, um, I, yeah, it was a long decision. It wasn't something that was easier. I remember literally sitting in my my little apartment in Korea, crying to myself because I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is now. It's not a year off. Like, I'm done. Um, and basically, what I did was I break it down. I asked myself 3 questions. Um, one, am I enjoying it? Is this and I do this for everything. If I'm doing something, I ask myself these 3 questions. One, am I enjoying it? The answer is no in that. I'll move on to the second question. Am I learning something? Am I growing? I felt like football in general, like, yes, I was growing in understanding how to live in Korea and how to and play in Korea, but I felt in a general sense of soccer or football, no, I'm not developing as a player or learning new things and gonna become a much different player than what I am now. I didn't feel like that was happening for me. And 3, is it a necessary step for me to get to somewhere else? So that's the 3 questions. Like, am I enjoying it? Am I growing or learning something, or is it a necessary step for me to get to somewhere else? And all of those things were no. Like, I wasn't enjoying it any more than I would enjoy playing MPL here with my mates or playing five-a-side around the corner from my house at all. Like, nowhere, probably less I was enjoying it. 2, yeah, like I said, I didn't feel like I was growing. And 3, like, there was nothing that was coming from that I needed to. It wasn't like in Argentina where, it was difficult times and this kind of thing. I'm away from home and my family and all this, but like, I'm trying to get to somewhere with this. It was like I'd already gotten to done what I thought I wanted to do with the game, that kind of thing. Obviously, there was other things. Obviously, there's always going to be things that you wish you did. But even if I won I remember listening to Michael Jordan talk, and he goes, "I just wish we went for one more." Like, you're always going to have that. There's stuff that you can't achieve, right? But no, it was a difficult decision, but 100% the right one for me. Like, I had spent, I sort of recounted it with like my mate Jake in one of his interviews, where I started to get like real bad anxiety, like physical stuff, not mental. I wasn't thinking about anything. I wasn't worried about nothing, but I was getting these like physiological feelings. And I just felt like that was like now a bodily symptom of me, like knowing that I'm doing something that I don't want to be doing. Like I'm on the wrong path. And it was like my body telling me, like, this is not your path anymore, and you need to make a serious, like a difficult decision here. Because it's so difficult. Like, fuck, I played since I was 4 years old. It's all I've ever known. But I'm so glad I did it, because now I'm doing the coaching stuff. I'm doing an academy called Beyond Technique Football School. And my passion for that, all the passion that I had for playing football has now gone into, it's like gone into this coaching side and like coaching kids and developing kids. When I really thought when I was finishing that I'm probably not going to go too much down the soccer route anymore. But this was like just perfect segue, and now I absolutely love it. I wake up, I watch videos, I read books and watch documentaries and blah blah, trying to like work it out, how to be the best coach or best junior coach in the world. So I've got that like aspiration back that I had probably lost with as a player. I didn't have that anymore. Like, how good can I be? Where can I get to with this? I was sort of just going, oh, okay, money's good. I understand how to play now. Like, I'm comfortable. It's not easy. It's not like it's easy, but it's like, it's familiar. It's comfortable. Like, I want to be like growing. I love the feeling of growing and feeling like, can I get there? Can I get there? Can I get there? This is difficult. Oh no, I failed. Now I'm making it. Oh no, I failed again. Like, I want that feeling. And I just felt like I lost that as a player. And I just sort of got complacent in like a complacent place,
Now, a lot of professional athletes kind of have similar sentiments when it comes to retiring, that they say they kind of learn a lot about themselves as a person when they retire, and they don't have this full-time thing anymore and all this sort of thing. So what did you personally learn about yourself after retirement? And what do you think, as you said, you've been playing football since you were 4, what do you think some of the biggest differences in everyday life is when you're not a professional athlete and you don't really have to look after yourself to the extreme?
Oh yeah, mate. Well, lots of different things, like little things, right? Like, there's stairs here at my work, and if I was walking up and down those stairs, I would be thinking, if I was still playing professionally, I'd be thinking like, is this good for my legs? Like, tomorrow, am I going to be able to run as much as I need to run, and that kind of thing? Or I had a chai this morning and had a little marshmallow on it. Like, there's no way I would have had that marshmallow if I was playing professionally. Like, just like crazy shit. Like, the amount of like detail that you're constantly thinking about. Have I walked too much today? Have I eaten the right things? Like, have I slept the right hours? Now, like, I've always had problems sleeping. Now, if I'm having a bad sleep, it's like, oh well, I'll just have a bad sleep. I don't need to train tomorrow and perform and that kind of thing. So yeah, lots of little things like that. But I think what I learned from coming out of the game is that, like, I still very much have that kind of that fiery kind of like that kid that wanted to be a professional footballer and had big dreams and that kind of thing. I'm still very much that kid. Just now it's like for different things. And I think I am like that for lots of different things, which makes it hard for me. Like, a lot of people don't have a passion in their life, rather don't know what they love doing or what they want to do and whatever. But for me, the difficult thing is I've got so many things I want to do. So it's hard to sort of like, you can't do everything, right? So yeah, I guess that's what I learned.
And final question, I know this is probably a bit of an open-ended question that would be pretty hard to answer, but looking back at your career, is there any particular moment that sticks out in your mind that you go, okay, this is it. This is what, I was dreaming about when I was a kid. This is my favorite moment of my whole career.
I mean, winning the league was, yeah. There's a photo of myself, Jason Guerra, and Costa Barbarouses after we've won the A League, and it's a photo of like the three of us walking. We've got our medals on and our caps on, and it was a weird one because like I didn't play too much that year. I wasn't like a regular starter, but I played in a lot of the crucial games. I didn't start in the final, but I came on. Like, part of you would think that like you'd be disappointed that you weren't starting in that, and you wouldn't feel like you influenced much. But I actually felt like I influenced enough that I was comfortable to feel like, fuck, I've done well here, and feel a part of it. And yeah, in this photo, it's like I've got my arm on Jason like that, and I think the feeling was like, fuck, like we did it, kind of thing. As like young kids, like that, like I said, you have that feeling of like, oh, am I gonna make it? Now I'm doing better. Oh, now I've played shit. Oh, now I'm doing better. And this person likes me. Oh, but this coach doesn't. And this like up, down, up, down, up, down, and this like slow gradient, like slow trajectory where you get knocked down, you go back up, you get knocked down. There's always that like chance that you're actually not going to make it. And that thing like, fuck, maybe I actually won't make it. But then this was a moment of like, oh, now I've actually done something. Like I've done something. It's like it's written down, and it's in the records. Like I've done that now. So it was like this kind of feeling. Maybe that, yeah, maybe that moment that day.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Rashid. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for watching. This video is sponsored by Arrow Sport. Go to the link in the description, and the friendly team at Arrow Sport will help you create your own football dream jersey. Whether it's starting from scratch or using one of their many templates on their website, creating a jersey with Arrow Sports is easy, and prices start from just $50. Go to www.arrowsport.com.au and make your football kit dreams become a reality.